Is LSU about to lose a five-star quarterback from Baton Rouge to Alabama? We've got the latest. Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked On LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. And as always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. And I have a sneaking suspicion a lot of you may have some comments about this episode. Every week, we visit with our friend Shay Dixon from On3 the Bengal Tiger, now partnered with Rivals, one and the same, Rivals being the recruiting arm of On3 after that merger. And Shay does an awesome job for my money. He's the best when it comes to covering recruiting on the LSU beat and has been for a long time. So we're really fortunate to have him. And it was interesting because this week, after Tennessee and Alabama played in Tuscaloosa, Bama emerged victorious. On Monday of this week, two national analysts from Rivals, Steve Wiltfong, Sam Spiegelman, both put in their picks for five-star quarterback from Dunham in Baton Rouge, Elijah Haven, to Alabama. Now, remember, Haven, at one point in his recruitment, was thought to be a Michigan lean. And then another part in his recruitment was heavily projected to Florida. Well, Billy Napier fired on Sunday. One day later, after Napier was fired, of course, Haven having made the visit to Tuscaloosa, now the picks come in for Haven to Alabama. And Shay Dixon kind of gave us the skinny on the latest there with Haven and Bama and these predictions.
Yeah, out of Dunham here in Baton Rouge. Took a visit, he did, this past weekend for the Tennessee game. And obviously Bama beat Tennessee, sold out crowd, all of that. Bama far from week one loss to FSU, and now rolled off all these wins in a row. So they're right back in the top few teams in the country. And they've been on Haven pretty heavily more recently. And he's had a really good junior season now. And this is a guy we've kind of tracked since his freshman year when he first started at Dunham, and he kind of debuted as the number one quarterback in the country. And everyone has him ranked somewhere differently, but everyone's got him there in the top 10. So when LSU took a commitment from Peyton Houston out of Evangel, who's obviously had a very good year as well up in North Louisiana, there was sort of that we talked about on the show. What happens with Elijah Haven here in Baton Rouge? What happens with Garrett Nussmeier's younger brother, Colton, over at Marcus in Texas? And kind of things have been sort of quiet with Colton, but the first kind of notable news of the whole discussion has now been Haven with this prediction to Bama. And before, everybody had been on Florida, Matt, and that was kind of where he was trending. Well, now Florida's had a complete staff shakeup. So it's kind of up in the air as to where things go there. So Bama, a team to watch. And on the same day that Bama lands these picks to reel in Haven, they took a quarterback for next year, a local guy out of Alabaster. So everyone is sort of wondering, does Bama take two? Does LSU take two? And I think the good thing for LSU fans who are hoping LSU is able to figure out, hey, look, this is what the future looks like with, the staff. And here's some, kind of concrete news after the season, maybe perhaps of who's staying or who's being replaced or who's coming in and how that affects recruiting. They'll enjoy knowing that Elijah is going to wait till at least January 1st. That's what he said right now. January 1st is when he would like to make an announcement. So we'll circle that date. Still a while to go there, but for the moment, yes, Bama is considered the team out front when talking to people like Sam and Steve Wiltfong.
So there's a few things here that we need to consider and to hash out based on what Shay said there and what we know. So remember, LSU already took a commitment from Peyton Houston out of Evangel. We'll talk about Peyton Houston in just a second. But for those who aren't familiar with Elijah Haven, he's from Dunham in Baton Rouge. He started as a freshman at the Dunham School. He's now in his junior year, so he's a class of 2027 guy. He is a five-star. In the Rivals industry composite, he is the number one quarterback in the country. Now, for what it's worth, Rivals has him as the 8th best quarterback. 24/7 and ESPN both rank him number one overall. And he has offers from everybody, from Alabama and LSU and Florida, Michigan, Auburn, everybody. I mean, he's a guy that every school is offered. So, and it's interesting too, because Haven has been a guy that's been on all of our radars for so long now here, because he's in Baton Rouge and got so much hype because he started getting offers during his freshman season. And Elijah Haven is as impressive a young person as I've talked to. I mentioned I've had him in studio before for my radio show, and I would say the three most impressive high school athletes that I've ever spoken to: Russell Shepard, when he was coming out back in 2008, Colin Hurley, and Elijah Haven. Those three, above all others, have been the most impressive high school athletes I've ever spoken to. Miles Brennan was fantastic as well. And there's others certainly that have been really good. Keelan Moses, outstanding. But quarterbacks tend to stand out, and those guys certainly at the top. So massively impressive young guy with a lot of physical ability as well. Now, the real question is about where he might fit in a class with multiple quarterbacks. LSU's already taken Peyton Houston. Again, more on that in just a second. But does Elijah Haven want to be part of a class with another elite level quarterback in Peyton Houston? That's a question that needs to be answered. You heard Shay say there that Alabama this week took a commitment. Well, they did, from Trent Seaborn. Now, Seaborn is from Alabama. He's from Alabaster, Alabama, 6'1", 194. He's a four-star. He is nationally ranked number 176, and he's the 15th best quarterback. So he's a very good quarterback prospect. But make no mistake, we're talking about a tiered quarterback system here, where you're talking about the elite level prospects and then sort of that next tier, Haven, Peyton Houston, or in that elite tier, Seaborn sort of in that next tier. So if you're Elijah Haven, maybe you're not worried about being part of a two quarterback class, as long as it's not a two elite quarterback class, where there's a very clear delineation. Maybe someone like Seaborn just wants to play for the Crimson Tide. That's always been his dream. He is from the state of Alabama. And he's got a lot of big offers too, by the way. I mean, South Carolina, Auburn, Miami, Clemson, Oregon, Georgia, Ole Miss, Florida State, Michigan, Maryland, Tennessee, LSU. I mean, he's got a bunch of offers as well. So I'm not minimizing Seaborn. It's just to say that you have a pretty clear delineation of the tiers of quarterbacks, and Haven is in that top tier, and Seaborn is just a notch below in that next. So maybe if you're Haven, you're okay being part of a two quarterback class, as long as it's not another elite level quarterback. So as to say, could LSU possibly land both Peyton Houston and Elijah Haven? Maybe not, which means then LSU would have to choose which of the two would they prefer. And it's pretty clear that LSU's staff favors Peyton Houston over Elijah Haven. And I get, as a fan, you read the recruiting rankings and you see where, you know, someone like Elijah Haven is the number one quarterback in the country for that class, and he's in Baton Rouge, and that's the guy you want. And you never want, we talk about it all the time, you never want to lose a guy in your state to someone you're going to play every year, notably Alabama. But I'll also note that ESPN ranks Peyton Houston as the number one quarterback in America. In the composite, he's number 9 overall. So for LSU, they kind of had a decision to make. Do you go full bore on Peyton Houston? Do you go full bore on Elijah Haven? And it's pretty clear that this LSU staff favored Peyton Houston. I know that that's going to sound like sour grapes from coming from the Baton Rouge, the LSU guy who potentially is going to see a kid from Baton Rouge leave the state and go to another SEC school, namely Bama. I understand how that sounds, but it's something I asked Shay, like, is it fair to say that this is a situation where this LSU staff just favored, they're both outstanding and recruiting both of them, but maybe they favored Peyton Houston over Elijah Haven?
No, I think you're right. And I think it's more than fair to say that, right? I mean, this is a position like quarterback where, you know, it's not like he's an O-lineman or receiver where it's understood, hey, we don't have to order out who we love the most out of guy X, Y, and Z if we're getting all three of them. Quarterback, obviously, even more so when you're pushing for that first guy, that first domino to drop. It can kind of become evident, like, who you're really pushing for. And it was evident that they were really pushing for Peyton Houston. And that was above both Haven and Nussmeier, right? Like, there wasn't kind of reports of, hey, look, they're going into overdrive to get a commitment here. But that was happening with with Peyton Houston. So remember, it was Southern Cal for Peyton Houston, and then it became an Oklahoma LSU race. And ultimately, LSU really sort of buckled in there and said, hey, look, you are the guy that that we're after. And I don't think that's a knock on Haven. It's not you and I's decision, right? This is it was kind of the view of the staff, and whether fans like it or not, that's what makes recruiting fun to follow. One of the reasons I enjoy following it is we get to see the answer to all those questions in the future. If people ever enjoy revisiting, most times, Matt, people just like to know, and then they don't ever pay attention later on to what they actually do in college. But look, I'll say it. Elijah Haven's had a very good junior year, so I don't think this will be the end of the Elijah Haven conversations relative to LSU fans, even if he does go and commit on January 1st to Alabama, given that he is a kid that's right here in the backyard. But
I want to follow up on what Shea had to say there and get you a tidbit on Javon Vital, who was supposed to commit to LSU last Thursday, postponed it. Why? We'll tell you next. Locked on LSU, your team every day. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August 2025. From footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat all the details. And Mazda brings this same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel the Japanese craftsmanship in every detail. From the metallic accents to available Napa leather upholstery, you can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, Mazda sweats every detail because when you make every moment count and every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda. Move and be moved. Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus powered by Peloton IQ. It's their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs, with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. And I love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps. It suggests your right weights. It corrects your form, makes every rep safer and smarter. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton Cross Training Tread Plus today at onepeloton.com. And we're brought to you by Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more exciting. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. Pull up Game Time, just a couple of taps. Amazing deals. Talking about your favorite college football games as low as $25. So take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Future of the quarterback position, with it potentially being Peyton Houston at LSU instead of Elijah Haven, or possibly both. Remember, Colton Nussmeier, Garrett Nussmeier's younger brother, is also part of the class of 2027 and is thought to be an LSU lean. So LSU could end up with a multi-quarterback class just with Peyton Houston and Colton Nussmeier, not including Elijah Haven. I also think that one of the things that is becoming increasingly clear is while you have to recruit the quarterback position out of high school, that should never be the standard by which you're expecting your program to be built upon in the future. And I know that sounds counterintuitive, but you probably know where I'm going. When you look at LSU's most successful quarterbacks of the last 2 decades, be it Zach Mettenberger or Danny Etling, the different level of Joe Burrow, Jaden Daniels, they're all transfers. It has been a rare occurrence for someone like Garrett Nussmeier to sign with LSU out of high school and stay through his high school eligibility. As a matter of fact, he's the first quarterback since Jordan Jefferson and Jarrett Lee to sign with LSU out of high school and finish their eligibility at LSU. The asterisk is Miles Brennan, who never transferred, but his career ended due to injury, as we well know. He retired before that 2022 season. But the point being, the future of this program is very likely going to be finding experienced players at the quarterback position through the transfer portal. And if someone like Colin Hurley or Peyton Houston comes to LSU, stays, develops, and takes over the starting job, fantastic. We're seeing an example of that right now with Ty Simpson at Alabama, a guy who waited his turn and is having an outstanding redshirt junior season, 4th year in Tuscaloosa. So while they're outliers, they're possible that those guys could be there. But by and large, what LSU is going to have to do is what every other school is doing. You're looking in the transfer portal for guys that have experience at the most important position in organized team sports that can plug and play and make you better immediately. Look, next year in 2026, Garrett Nussmeier is gone. You'll have potentially, hypothetically, Colin Hurley, if he returns, who has yet to play. You have, if Michael Van Buren returns, you'd have a player there who played in 8 games a season ago for Mississippi State, but has been little used this year. You'd have potentially no 2026 prospect right now as part of the 2026 class. You don't have a freshman coming in. So you're going to have to go into the transfer portal for 1 or maybe 2 guys. And what if you get someone with experience that becomes a multi-year starter that can start for you in 26 and 27? The point is, I just find it difficult to react so emotionally about what high school quarterbacks are doing coming out of high school anymore, because it's just so clear when you look at the current and the future of the position, it's getting guys through the transfer portal. And that really comes down to a commitment to paying out of the transfer portal, be it rev share, true third-party NIL deals, quarterbacks. And we have to reframe our mind. I think a lot of people already are. And Brian Kelly is part of that number as well, because you're seeing a guy who, when he came to LSU, always valued recruiting and developing through the high school ranks and supplementing in the portal. Well, look at what happened this year. You ended up going for nearly 20 players in the transfer portal. Now, the results so far, look, you hit on a lot of these portal guys, but maybe the focus was in the wrong spot, needed a few more offensive linemen. But as of right now, for the 2026 class, LSU has 16 commitments. The day of 25 to 30 high school signees feels like that's going the way of the dodo bird, the way of the dinosaur. And you're going to end up more in the maybe 15 to 20 high school players and the double-digit portal guys that are going to be immediate plug-and-play impact guys. I think that's also true at quarterback. So if Elijah Haven wants to be part of the LSU class, outstanding. He's a 6'5" guy who just continues to improve and has played a ton of football already and has got another year remaining in his high school career. But if the LSU coaching staff scouted and determined the guy they want is the dual threat quarterback from North Louisiana who had an 800-yard game last year, then you ask the question, do you trust their evaluation? And if you do, then you roll with it. Right now, it's Peyton Houston. We'll see what happens with Elijah Haven before he makes his decision, apparently in January, and if he sticks with it, the following December. Long way to go for that class of 2027. But for now, 5-star from Baton Rouge, Elijah Haven looks like he's leaning to Alabama, while LSU already has their quarterback for 2027 committed. Okay, that'll do it for us here on today's bonus episode of Locked on LSU. Do me a favor, if you're listening on podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate us, leave a review. Wait, forgive me. I forgot. I got one more thing to do. I got one more thing to do. I told you, Javon Vital, excuse me, my apologies. I was about to cut the show short. I forgot to play this for you. So the athlete for 2027 was supposed to commit to LSU last Thursday. He put it off. Here's Shay as to why.
Yes, he pushed things back. I didn't actually check to see what the score was this past weekend, but Hamilton Christian have been undefeated in 1A ball. They're trying to make a push for another deep playoff run, all of that. And he was trying to put together a bunch of stuff between family and school and doing it all up there. And I think it was easiest for them to say, hey, let's wait till after the season. And then you can go ahead and do something with, commitment-wise. But I still have my pick on LSU with a very high confidence level. This is a kid who, again, I think we've talked about it, but in that 5'9" range, and when you play in high school at any level, even more so when you're the best player on a 1A team, you play a lot of positions. But he's kind of in that Aaron Anderson mold, right? Like Xavier Thomas, where by college, he's playing a receiver, doing some return stuff. Like he's got the body to play running back if you ever needed it, much like a Juwan Johnson did. But I think from the outset here, receiver is where you're kind of keeping an eye on things, which turned out to be a really deep receiver haul next year in Louisiana because beyond him, Braylon Calais out of Cecilia is another 4-star in the Rivals 300. And then just this week, we've got alert, surprise, no shocker here. Louisiana's home to the number 1 receiver in the country for next year, a 5-star in Eastern Royal over at Brother Martin. So time to kind of put the recruiting antennas up for that 2017 class as the 2016 or 2026 class sort of winds down.
Now, I can tell you that'll do it. So Javon Vital, the wide receiver athlete out of Southwest Louisiana and Hamilton Christian, delaying his announcement, but still thought to be a heavy lean toward LSU. Okay, now we can wrap the show up. If you're on podcast, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app, rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video, and let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you here every single day for Locked on LSU, your team every day.